Hello aviators, welcome back to the Finer Points. In this video, I'm going to bring you along on a recent instrument flight that I flew to minimums. We're going to discuss 3 of the finer points that I know will make you a safer, more confident pilot. Also, I'm so happy to announce that our instrument course is now available in the Ground School app. So there are 2 courses there. If you want to be a safer, more confident pilot, make sure you check out learnthefinerpoints.com/groundschool.
I'm Jason Miller, a full-time professional flight instructor. On the Finer Points channel, you can join me as I bring you tips and tricks that I've learned from 20 years on the flight line.
Okay, so the flight departed here from Grass Valley and was headed to Petaluma. When I departed, the weather was at minimums. It was above minimums, but just barely. And as I got closer, you'll see it breaks up a little bit. But let's join the flight here as I get handed off to the last approach controller. And that controller starts providing radar vectors for the approach.
For 5218 Foxtrot, turn 10 degrees left, vectors outside of Divley for the straight-in approach to runway 29.
Okay, so let's just stop straight away and listen. What the controller said was turn left heading 180, radar vectors for the straight in approach. Okay, if you did not know it already, if you're flying an approach like this and you're not coming at the approach from one of these no procedure turn courses here, then you are obliged to fly the racetrack pattern. You're obliged to do 1 turn in it. You must do that before you cross the final approach fix. The only exception is if you're cleared for the straight in approach. So here we can clearly hear the approach controller say, turn left heading 180. It's a radar vector for the straight in approach, and that's critical.
Okay, turn 5 degrees left, and we'll expect vectors straight in, runway 29 outside of Jiffley, 5218 Foxtrot.
All right, you guys, today we're going to take those vectors. What you want to do when you're training on instruments is some days take them, some days don't. You want to make sure that you can handle this any way that it's coming. Okay, so what are the implications for us now? So one of the finer points here is the buttonology associated with loading approaches. You can load approach as vectors to final, where you get a line from the final approach fix to the intermediate fix and then out to infinity. Or you can load it from an initial approach fix, an IAF, in which case you'll have a series of waypoints and legs that you can activate. One of the most common things that happens at this point in the flight is needing to switch between the 2. I accidentally loaded as vectors to final, but now I need to go to a waypoint. Or I activated the wrong leg. Or I loaded it from an IAF, but now I need to make it vectors to final. And there are various shortcuts, ways to do this depending on which unit you're using, and you should practice them. But you should also practice simply deleting the approach and reloading it the way you want it, because if everything comes down at once, if all those juggling balls come down, that's what you're going to want to do, and you're going to need to be able to do it very quickly.
He's going to vector us onto the final, so this is the buttonology that we practice. We need to go back through here. We need to delete the approach from the flight plan, like this, remove the approach, and then we need to reload it. I'm going to just go ahead and go to the procedure button, approach. We're going to reload that approach as a vector to final. The transition is what we want to change. Vectors, there we go. And we're just going to go ahead and load it and activate it. Okay, there we go. Now you can see how the vector that he's giving us relates to the final approach course, right? You can see that our heading, presuming this is correct, okay, our heading is 180. 180 is going to the approach course in an outbound direction. You see that? Presumably when you're on the course, you're headed this way, and the needle's centered. You're always flying the heading that's on the outside of the case here. So right now, we're going this way, and that makes sense. If you look at our moving map over here, you can see we're headed toward the course, but we're headed kind of outbound on it. All right.
Okay, another finer point that I want to discuss here is having a non-precision approach descent rate, being comfortable descending at something greater than 500 feet per minute in a stabilized way. Notice that when the controller gives me my approach clearance here, I'm already at 4,000. I'm very close to Jiffley, and I'm told to cross Jiffley at 3,000, yet the altitude just past Jiffley is 2,000. So I'm meant to go from 4,000 to 2,000 in a very short distance. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to descend at 500 feet per minute, so therefore I use known configurations. I have a non-precision approach descent configuration, a precision approach descent configuration, and an approach level power setting that I know will be a speed appropriate
to flying an instrument approach. And all of these power settings, these configurations, are known and practiced ahead of time so that you can easily pull them out and feel comfortable using them in a stabilized way.
We're going to level at 4,000. If he doesn't stop us, there's 242.
5218 Foxtrot. Cross Dibley at or above 3,000. Cleared RNAV runway 29 approach, straight in.
Okay, cross Dibley at or above 3,000, cleared for the straight in RNAV runway 29 approach, Petaluma 5218 Foxtrot.
All right, guys, now here's exactly, this is a great moment because this is why you want to have two different descent rates. Right now I'm descending at 500 feet per minute and I'm still 4,000 feet. He's kind of slam dunking me here. Like, I'm going to be at Ghibli in a minute. Am I really going to be all the way down to 3? And then after Ghibli, I have to get down to 2. So I really have 2,000 feet to lose, right? So I need to be comfortable going back to a power setting of, like, 1,700 RPM, flying the same airspeed and just pitching for a new sight picture and accepting a more severe descent rate. Now, there's nothing unstable about this, assuming I stabilize it. You should just have two different approach descent configurations. A precision approach descent configuration, 90 knots, 500 feet per minute, and a non-precision approach descent configuration, 90 knots or a little faster, and something greater than 500 feet per minute.
Contact NorCal approach 135.1.
All right, we're leveling off here just for a moment. Now, everything I'm doing now is the approach level configuration. I'm going to go right to 2,100 RPM or 2,200 RPM. Whatever you use for approach level there.
All right, aviators, that's all for this episode of The Finer Points. I hope you found those tips helpful. I hope this is relevant to you and your instrument flying. Make sure you check out our instrument course. If you're already an instrument pilot and you're looking for a review, come do a mock oral. We've got a mock video oral in the app. It's over 300 questions, every question tied to an ACS code. If you want to know where the holes are in your instrument knowledge, run through that oral and we'll tell you exactly which ACS codes are lacking. So check it out, learnthefinerpoints.com/ground school. Also remember that when you renew your AOPA membership, you should select Pilot Protection Services. I am going to be speaking for AOPA at the Buckeye Fly-In. If you haven't seen that awesome event, check it out. Consider joining us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're starting the air show season way early down there in Arizona, but it's going to be awesome. So definitely check it out. Make sure you're an AOPA member. Leave us a comment below if there's a video you want to see. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that little alert bell so you get notified of uploads. But most importantly, until I see you guys again, be safe and fly your best.